Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, February 28, 2012. It is 7:02. We're in the village boardroom for our village board meeting, followed by a committee of the whole meeting. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mrs. Booth. How are you today?
Great.
Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gattuso?
Present.
Mr. Novak?
I am present.
Mr. Perry?
Present.
Mr. Sloan?
Present.
Mr. Stecker? Mr. Yurkovich?
Present.
Mr. Polito?
Present. We do have a quorum. Trustee Stecker is in Springfield this evening doing some lobbying efforts. He indicated to me that he would not be able to attend tonight's meeting. Item number 4, presentations. On the request of Trustee Yurkovich, he would like to have appointed Miss Abigail Martin and Nicole Lococo to the Citizens Advisory Board. As you recall, this is an ad hoc group that we've put together that Trustee Yurkovich is the liaison to the board, and I think all of the resumes have been sent out, and I would ask that these appointments be made under my auspices and welcome them to the Citizen Advisory Board as so requested by Trustee Yurkovich. So I don't know if I make a motion in a second to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Tom, second by Paulie. Motion is second to approve those appointments. If there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Polito?
Aye. Motion carries. Are they in the audience?
They are.
Why don't you? Well, I see Nikki, of course. I've never met Miss Martin before. Why don't you guys kind of step up? Now we get to embarrass you a little bit. As I'm certain that Tom has alluded to, and this is an ad hoc committee. We have a couple of them in place. We have economic development.
Somebody's complaining already.
Its liaison is Trustee Perry, and the Green Committee, which Trustee Novak is the liaison. Now, the whole organizational structure is hopefully we're all working together for the betterment of Westchester, which I'm certain that you're quite aware, and that's why you volunteered your services. So, with that in mind, I don't know if you've met all the trustees before, but we want to welcome you to the fold, so to speak, and we know that the Citizen Advisory Board, they meet on Wednesdays with Tom once a month, and you have some exciting things coming in the future in May. I know you guys are working very hard on, and I'm certain that the group would certainly love to have new blood and new members and new fresh ideas. That's the whole thing. So on behalf of the board, I welcome both of you. You're going to be an asset, certainly, and we're looking for bigger and better things from the CAB. Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a presentation, but I do want to mention this one fact that some of you may know, but certainly some of you may not know. Trustee Stecker is in Springfield today, and he's a very committed firefighter for the village of Franklin Park. He also lives and breathes firefighting. A couple of weeks ago, and he'd be embarrassed if he was here, he has a part-time job, and one of those jobs is investigating fires. He was on the south side of Chicago investigating an arson fire for the insurance company that he works for, and he does a great job of doing that. He's also teaching at Triton College firefighting as well. And while he was there on the scene, a woman came out of a home unrelated to the home that he was at, and indicated that there was a problem with someone in the house. So Nick instinctively runs into the house, and it wasn't on fire or anything, but lo and behold, there was an ambulance call that was necessitated, and there was a 4-year-old child, and I don't know the sex of the child, appeared to be in distress. Nick immediately made sure that somebody was calling the police and the fire service, and this was in the city of Ford Heights. And most of you know, have heard Ford Heights. I think they're patrolled by the Cook County Sheriff's Police. If they had a police department, it was disbanded in services from the county. And certainly if they didn't have a fire service or a police service, that they may not have had ambulance service, which of course they had a private ambulance service that was responding. So of course, time parameters are probably a little bit lengthier than normal. Nick immediately started CPR on the infant and continued CPR until the fire service arrived on the scene. Nick also continued to do the CPR all the way to the hospital. And no degradation or any comments about the fire ambulance service, but once you're involved in some life-saving measures like that, and I think that the chiefs will attest, it's difficult to give it up because you want to see it from one end to the other. The infant was taken to a hospital and ultimately passed away. And we're very, very sorry for that, and Nick is as well. But I just felt compelled to mention that we have someone on our board who represents us. Certainly he's a fine representative of the Franklin Park Fire Department as a fire lieutenant. But here's a person that could have probably said, hey, let's wait for the ambulance. I'll call the ambulance for you. I'll call the police, which probably others have indicated to him that that's what they would have done. But if Nick was here, I'd walk over and shake his hand as a man that cares about every human being that he comes in contact with. And his abilities are stellar, and in my mind, he's one of the best. So if and when Nick returns from Springfield and you have a chance to see him or talk to him, it would probably go a long way just to say, Nick, you did the right thing. You tried to save a life to the best of your ability. And had that child's life been saved, you know, he would have been a hero. We would have heard a whole bunch about it. And unfortunately, when, you know, a save isn't possible and certainly out of our control, certainly in God's hands, that Nick did everything humanly possible to save a life. So to me, and I think to all of us, he's just as much as a hero as the firefighter who was successful in the save, because all the life-saving measures were certainly put in place. So I know Nick probably didn't want me to say anything about it, but he called me the day that it happened, and I felt compelled to share that story with the board. So, are there any other presentations? If not, under item 5, public comments and questions. Oh, Michael, you need to step up, indicate your information for our clerk, and fire away.
This is a list from 1954 of the 37 firemen that started this fire department. Of the 37 men, I believe 24 of them are deceased at this point. What he came here for is just to read a letter that I've written, and it just disturbs me. And I thought I'd bring it up to the board. I sincerely believe that all the firemen that started the fire department back in 1954 put in 20 years or more received a terrible injustice from this village. You were on call 24/7 all those years, and that meant every day, not 24 on, 24 off, or whatever it is, the way it is now. We were on call every day. I was at least for 23 years. But most of these guys were for 20 years. Amongst these firemen, we had college graduates. One you probably maybe remember was a captain that in the I can't remember what airlines he was with. He was shot down over Ireland in the Atlantic Ocean. Some terrorists, I believe, way back. He was one of our firemen. Good fireman. When I talk to people and they ask me about my service, about my service, I find that not one penny was given as a pension for any of these firemen. Not 1 cent. They cannot believe it, especially the fire departments that I visit. They all agree that it was an awful treatment we received, and they asked me what town I'm from. When I say Westchester, they just can't believe it. Who do you think started the mutual aid in this town? We did, way back, starting in 1954. It didn't just come up now. It's been going on for a long, long time. It seems like you find money for all kinds of other things in this village, and I'll mention just two things, two things especially. You ask the people of this town to pay $1.50 on our phone bills for the 9/11. I was 100%, 150% for it. But there should have been, in that law that you made, there should have been a limit to it. At least, or reduce it from $1.50 to maybe 75 cents. But you never did. Does it go on forever? Oh, I didn't even get halfway through. I'm going to finish. You collect over $60,000 a year for this. Now, how many times can you upgrade with $60,000? I can't believe it.
Let me ask you, obviously you're trying to make a point. Is there a request that you're asking of the board?
Yeah, I wonder
with your letter?
Why did you put a stop measurement on the $1.50? To lower it or something. Say, how long is it going to go on? Is it going to go on forever? How many times can you upgrade?
There's quite a few upgrades that go on.
You could throw everything on in a year and replace it the same year with the $60,000 you get. Is that what we're doing?
Well, there's a lot of upgrades that sometimes that we are mandated by law to do with mapping, cellular, things of that nature, and that's why some of these costs go up. But you were talking about something earlier. So you got an apple and an orange here. You're talking about 911, and you were talking about something else in the beginning. What was your question to the board at the beginning?
In the beginning, it was,
why
didn't we ever get a pension? Why didn't they do something? You know, a lot of these villages, not here, I know of one village, they're volunteers. You know what they're doing, their town? For every year that they spend as a volunteer, they're going to get $10 for every year they put in. That's their pension. We didn't get anything. We didn't get a thank you. Nothing. How would you like that?
Well,
I'm finished.
Mr. Malpier, the only thing I could suggest to you is, you know, that was a different board at a different time. There are all kinds of pension rules that you have to have 5,000 population, and, you know, and this goes back. You just can't start a pension system out of nothing. There's criteria and laws that, you know, create these things. So I would imagine that there were deductions taken out of anyone that's receiving a pension. There was some matching information. You know, back in 1954 when you guys started, I'm sure that wasn't in the game. I'm not even sure when the pension system came into play in the village. I couldn't tell you.
Came in when I was still on.
Yeah. you know, that was a battle for another time and another place.
Yeah, but
There's really not too much that we're going to be able to do now,
No,
unfortunately.
I assume that.
So.
I figured that. That's what you were gonna say anyway. But I'll get away from it. I'm not gonna get any points with that one anyway.
Okay, well,
Uh,
again,
Let me say couple of things.
well,
This
Nice
GA
and
summit
quick.
that's gonna happen in Chicago.
nice and quick, because
In May,
you're
it-
over the time parameter.
I know, but that's important, very important. Because they're thinking that there's gonna be terrorists there and everything in May. And it's gonna sweep down into the suburbs. I heard this on TV. I'm not taking this out
Yeah.
of the air. I'm taking
And
it from TV.
And I know that,
I'm thinking this board should at least put in a bid to the National Guard to get some kind of protection, because the police department in this village, or any village, is not going to be able to control it.
yeah, and-
We don't know what they're going to do.
And the only thing I could advise you of is that Chief Padlick and her staff have been looking into this way before now. She's been at meetings. We're part of a NIPAS organizational group that have trained for this type of situation. And we've been doing this for quite a long time, since
have too.
1994.
Well, since I heard about it, I've been thinking
I'm
about it.
just saying, that was part of the group I wasn't part of. So we've been doing it ever since '94, when World Cup soccer was coming, and I'm sure that April's got everything well in hand at
Okay.
this point.
All right, I thought I'd bring it up.
But thank you.
One other thing I would suggest, maybe to you, you went to a meeting with the mayor of Chicago, or whatever you want to call it. They're having a problem with all the high rises. They've had that for years, way back when the old man Daley was there. I got a suggestion that I think would work. Any building that's over 10 stories, you're in trouble. The fire department is in deep trouble, very deep. Now they're asking the owners of these buildings to spend millions and millions of dollars to put in a water system, sprinkler system. Why don't they just put a sprinkler system down the halls of every floor in the buildings? If they would do that, that would at least protect the people anyway, until the fire department can get in there and get them out. I'm through. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Any other persons would like to approach the board? Please step up to the microphone. Michael is well known by us, so if you could identify yourself for our clerk. You say I have a young man and young lady here.
Hi there. My name is William Loftus,
Welcome.
I'm Jody Gottlieb.
Welcome.
and I was wondering when the next government day for children is, because if one is going to come up next, because if there is, I would like to participate in it.
Now, generally, the request comes from the District 92 and a half. But I understand somebody may come from 92 and a half and someone doesn't. Who's a 92 and a half?
Me.
You. From what I understand, what we've done in the past is we've partnered with the school district, and they've made whomever the selections for each one of the positions, and then it's organized in that fashion, and we do it. So we're glad to do it. I think we've done it for Divine Infant as well, and any of the schools that are out there, haven't we?
Yep.
Maybe we could reach out to them,
Yeah,
you know.
have
I think
your
it's a good
school-
idea.
Yeah, have your school put it together. Most of the time it was student council, and, the president and the council members of the student council. They would come and they'd have government day with us here, sit with us up here during our board meeting and everything.
Yeah.
So if you guys can, it's a school function, and have them, formally call us and tell us that, this is the date, we can put something together.
We're happy to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gladly give up my seat to you.
I think we all will.
No, we'll sit out there, you guys can run it up here, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else at this juncture? Okay. I don't believe there's any public hearings. That is correct. Item number 7, the consent agenda, which is A through F, includes record of bills, approval of the minutes of Valentine's Day, the village board meeting, ordinance to approve fiscal 2012 budget amendment, resolution authorizing change order number 2 for the High Ridge sanitary sewer lining project, and E, resolution authorizing economic incentive agreement, and number 4, ordinance amending municipal code for utility payments. Does any board person wish to have anything removed at this time? Mr. Paul?
Can I have 2 items removed off the record of bills?
Yes, you may.
It's one to a payment of Paul's Pizza and another one to Paul Gattuso. I'd like to vote on those separately, please.
Okay. Anything else? B?
I'd like to pull item C and item E.
C and E. Okay. Anything else? Okay, on the record of bills, is there a motion and a second for their approval? Motion by?
Now, this would be, you're doing A?
Yeah,
Under the consent agenda, A,
yeah, we're doing it individually.
less those items.
Right.
You're doing B, the minutes, and then I think you've got D and F.
Okay,
still
let's
on
do
there
this. Let's
For the consent
Let's
agenda.
do B, D, and F. Okay, is there a motion and a second to approve B, D, and F?
Motion. Second.
Who was the motion? Tommy and Wally. Okay. Any discussion on those? All in favor, say aye.
It's
Aye.
consent agenda, you need a roll call.
Oh,
on it.
roll call, I'm sorry.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Pulley?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Jump back up to the record of bills. And we're minusing the 2 issues to Paul's Pizza for remuneration. Okay. Is there a motion and a second to approve the record of bills
Less those 2
less
items.
those 2 items?
So moved.
Second.
Wally and Tom.
You'll need a roll call on
Okay.
that because you're paying, approving the payment.
And the roll call as well?
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Pulley?
Aye. Motion carries on those. Okay. Is there a motion and a second to approve the payment of Paul's Pizza and for Paul's remuneration, as I believe it was part of the trip?
Phoenix, right?
Okay. Is there a motion and a second for those approvals?
So moved.
Second.
Wally and Frank. Any discussion? If not, Kathy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Abstain?
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Pulley?
Aye. Motion carries. Those will be paid as well.
Thank you.
Quite welcome, sir. Okay. Item number C was pulled by Brian. Ordinance to approve fiscal 2012 budget amendment. Is there a motion and a second for that approval? And then we'll discuss.
So moved.
Wally?
Second.
And Wally and Paul. Brian, discussion.
The budget amendment increases the deficit, and I would prefer to see that the increased deficit be offset by some cuts somewhere else in the budget as opposed to increasing the deficit.
Janet, any information to share?
No, as this is a quarterly budget amendment, I guess I would recommend that we address that issue in the year-end budget amendment, as we would have more information on possibly the overestimated expenditures in another category. This particular adjustment related to a software upgrade in the E911 department that actually was not addressed in the second quarter adjustment, so that's why we're having an effect in the current year. We had an unanticipated server upgrade that was allocated to all departments, and this represents the allocation to the E911.
I'm
And
aware of what it is. I'm just.
but we can bring it back into line with the fourth quarter adjustment.
So our budget as we pass it, and I've seen it in other venues that I've been, sometimes the line items are taken out from different line items that could coexist in another line item, so to speak. So like materials and supplies and other supplies, sometimes they're coded, and it could even be coded improperly to one line item that would show more of an expenditure in that line and less possibly in another. Is those the adjustments that we're pretty much talking about?
Correct.
No, this is a net deficit. It's not just a reclassification, as you're indicating. It's actually an additional deficit on top of the deficit budget that was approved. So my opinion is that we should be looking to decrease the expenditures somewhere else in the budget as opposed to increasing the deficit spending.
Okay, any other comments relative to that?
So we're gonna look at shoring up the deficit in the fourth quarter that we see right here. It's what, 7,000 we're under?
Correct.
So our fourth quarter adjustment should bring us back in
$7,000
line.
surplus to bring the aggregate budget number back in line with the original budget.
See, this would be when, worth
April
30th.
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 April 30th.
I want to make sure when we do that we are keeping, it doesn't get fallen in the mix, and say, oh, because we're going to the new budget, yeah, it's in there, but where is it? I don't know. I mean, I'm with Brian. I think we've always, I understand these need to be made, but we got to hold the fire, this deficit, because it just grows and grows and grows, and next thing you know, we're all scratching our head going, how do we pay bills? So, I understand these, but moving forward, our budget should be based on $1 less with these adjustments. If you understand what I'm saying, when we enter fourth quarter, we should have a lesser deficit and then base our dollars on that, not based on our dollars on a higher deficit and move forward.
I mean, I guess I just don't understand. We don't have to pass this tonight. I mean, this is something that can be corrected and appear before the board in the next meeting. I don't think we should be continuing to approve deficit spending. The deficit we began with was large enough.
So you're asking for it to be tabled until our next meeting till we can figure out a better way of trying to pick it up somewhere else, Brian?
If that's the pleasure of the board.
Well, I was under the impression that through our conversation over the years that we were going to make the adjustments along the way and not wait to the end. I mean, I know we're in the fourth quarter, but I thought.
I'm not asking to wait to the end. I mean, it could be appear before the board of the next meeting and have this, the deficits that's been created with these adjustments, that other savings or cuts can be identified within the budget to offset that particular additional expenditure.
Just to clarify that, Mr. Mayor, what I think we were talking about is the individual between the line items. So for like exactly what you said earlier, I've got 5,000 here, and so I can make that adjustment. Those were the quarterly adjustments that we said we were making. This, to me, this is an increase in spending, an increase in deficit. You know, that's what I thought when we were talking about quarterly adjustments, is adjusting the individual line items between the main categories, so to keep the budget in line and so make sure we don't have over expenditures on one and under on the other. So this, I think, is a little different. If we can table, if we have to pass, I do want to see it, but if we could table it and come up with, you know, at least send the message that we are not deficit spending, that would be a favorable thing to do.
Janet, any opinion?
No, whatever is the pleasure of the board, I can revisit this and provide a revised attachment for the next meeting.
We're under no time restriction to
No,
pass this.
absolutely not.
We could just do that as that's
Right, our intent, as President Puglia stated, was to make quarterly adjustments so that we're giving management accurate information to try to adhere to for the spending throughout the year, where in past years they had made just one lump sum budget amendment at the end of the fiscal year. So we're just trying to keep things in check throughout the year.
So with that in mind, if there's no angst around the horn, is there a
I'll make a
Motion,
motion
second,
that we
and table.
table this until the next board meeting.
Second.
okay. Motion to table by Brian, I'm sorry, the second, Tommy? All those in favor of tabling this to our next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, Janet, you know what
I
you have
will
to do that,
Take care
correct?
of that.
Okay.
You got somebody starting.
And item number E, is there a motion and a second for the approval of the resolution authorizing economic incentive agreement? Motion.
Can I just make a comment on this? Actually, the title should be Resolution Authorizing the Execution of an Amendment to the Economic Incentive Agreement. That's the title of the document that's in your packet. It's really amending the prior Economic Incentive Agreement.
Okay. So, make a note of that.
Execution of Amendment
Amendment.
of Economic Incentive
Incentive.
Agreement.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, motion by
So moved.
Paul, second by Wally. Discussion. Brian, you brought this up?
The previous discussion was that we were going to reduce the term of this plan to limit to 10 years. And as drafted before us, it still appears to be a 20-year term.
It's 10 years. There's a 10-year amendment.
Is there a different one in
If you
here?
refer to page
Paragraph.
25 of your packet, Exhibit A, paragraph
20.
B, it adjusts the term to 10 years.
25 is a signing page. Oh, okay.
It's Exhibit
It's
A.
amended A,
Before
amendment A.
Paragraph 4.
Yeah, because I think that's what our
Okay,
understanding
sorry.
was, that,
I was, yeah, and I saw the changes on this, the original document
Okay.
that were highlighted, and
Yeah, that was
Didn't
just
see the other
included
one
in the
changed.
package for information purposes.
okay. So, is there anything else in regards to that, or? I think that's what was the flavor of
Yeah.
the discussion at our last cow, was that to increase the plan 6 months because of the late start, and that in lieu of that, the board decided unilaterally and in total that we would limit that to a 10-year exposure. Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So there's a motion and a second by Paul and Wally on the agenda for the approval. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
no.
Mr. Puglia?
Aye. Motion carries. Active agenda, I don't see anything on the active. Nothing, okay. Managers report.
Okay, just a couple.
Janet, please.
Just a couple things I'd like to go over today. Just a reminder that the 2012 vehicle stickers do go on sale Thursday, March 1st. All residents should be receiving an application in the mail for any prior registered vehicles. Please bring those to Village Hall with you to purchase your sticker. And dog tags will also be available for register your pet, and you'll receive a dog tag also beginning March 1st. Your kids? No, you don't need any tags for your kids.
You just have them tattooed, Wally.
That's right. You'll be able to buy those vehicle tags either at Village Hall. Again, please bring your application online or through the mail. And the expiration date of your 2011 sticker is April 30th, so you'll be subject to fine if you're not displaying the 2012 sticker by May 1 of 2012. The other thing I'd like to mention is that we've all started looking at our budgetary constraints for the next fiscal year. And just yesterday, the Illinois Municipal League released their state revenue projections for fiscal 12, which we'll be incorporating into the budget, and it's not a very bright prospect. For example, the state income tax revenue that we depend heavily on has stayed stagnant at $77.90 per capita. The state use tax, they're estimating that for 2012 we will receive $14.80 per capita compared to $13.73 in fiscal 11. So that is a 7.8 increase in that revenue source. The motor fuel tax allotments, which we rely heavily on for our road repairs, have actually decreased from $25.40 in fiscal 11 to $24.60. So I would just like to remind all the residents that we do have a referendum on the ballot for the March 20th election to consider a non-home rule sales tax that would be restricted for road repairs. Please consider that, especially in light of this declining revenue base in the motor fuel tax. So total per capita from state revenues actually is increasing 27 cents, they're estimating in 2012, from $117.03 to $117.30 per capita, which if we extend that by our population is only going to give us an increase in state revenues of $3,800 for fiscal 12. So we're really going to have to sharpen our pencils for this budget and really need to look at any other revenue sources that are available to us.
And that segue into why it was so important for the census. And I know Wally was, counting all the light poles, drawing a face on them to try trying to get them included in the in our counts. But I mean,
I've got a few of them.
that's why it's so important.
Yeah, exactly.
To have an accurate count and.
Because we're stuck with that number for 10 years.
Yeah. So, thank you. And Jan, I know I didn't get a chance to ask you this afternoon if the update on our water guns. Are they? Last I heard, they may be
Yes.
back ordered.
Well-
I was a little irritated that I would have liked to have heard that from the company right out of the gate, and I had Andrea make a phone call, and I wasn't able to
Yes,
follow up.
a
with anything.
representative from Census, who is our vendor for the water guns, did stop at Village Hall yesterday and informed us that we do have a slight back order, and there is an issue with the FCC registration on the guns that he is addressing. So generally, they try to pair several municipalities on an FCC registration for these guns. Apparently, the FCC registration for the village has lapsed with the old guns, and he is anticipating he will get that cleared up within the next several days, and we should have the guns within 2 weeks.
It's a new hiccup. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I do know in the last go-around in reading that we had probably about 80 or so that were unable to be read for whatever reason. Wires off, the ROM's not reading, irrespective of the operation of the guns. And I'm pleased to report that Vinny and Brian Grippo have been out there going door to door trying to take care of all those problems and have a real good handle on it at this time. And some of those reads have been actuals because I think what we end up having, and we have in a couple of occasions that I've seen, estimated reads for a period of upwards of 2 years. And then all of a sudden, when you get an accurate read, there's somebody crying on the other end of that read because they probably used a little bit more water than the estimate. And then all of a sudden, it's crept up on them, and the bills in some cases have doubled. And it's not that they didn't use the water, it's just that, you know, you'd rather pay $10 more every quarter and catch up than paying, you know, $80 or $100 all at one time. So,
Right.
and I know that's happening. I know they're working hard in getting those reads and everything repaired. So that's a
Right,
good
and
thing.
the finance office is working in cooperation with the Public Works employees to really troubleshoot some of these accounts that we've noted to be maybe problem accounts for a while, and would also like to maybe address the fact that anyone that it is illegal to tamper with your water meter. They have found certain instances of that. And just a warning to anyone who is trying to reduce their water bill by tampering with the water meter that there is a $500 fine for tampering with your meter, and we will be enforcing those fines going forward. You also need to allow the meter readers access to your property, and we are following up with several residents where we have not been able to access the meter due to dangerous pets, lock gates, things like that, and we will be contacting them in writing and notifying them that, giving them a 30-day window to set up an appointment with us to gain access to their meters. So we are trying to get all residents in compliance with the water code.
Yeah, because I know in the summer when, you know, some of these unread meters surface, that I think our goal should be that we read meters for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, we download the guns, and there's X amount that were unable to be read. My opinion is that the ones that were not able to be read should be repaired, fixed, or whatever within the next 2 weeks. Because guess what? After 4 weeks, we're back on cycle again to reread another section. There are 3 sections in town, my understanding. So, again, I think once we start getting these things fixed, that there won't be repeat non-reads that following quarter, which will make things a little bit more easier done. So I think that's the plan that I know we've been working on, and the guys are stepping up to the plate in the back, doing a great job trying to get that for us done correctly. So, okay, Ms. Janet, anything else?
No,
Yeah.
that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything for us this evening?
Well, I've heard rumor that we may be in executive session tonight, so if that comes to pass, I'll make a report in executive
It's a bad
session.
rumor.
Well, I don't control that, so if we're in executive session, I'll make a report in there.
And,
Thank you.
and I will ask for one, so, and what else is new? Board members, reports and new business. Green Committee, how are we doing?
We're green.
Are you green?
Yes, we have our scheduled meeting in next on the 8th, I believe. Can't remember what day it is, but talking about some fest, getting a recycling program promoting in the fest. Again, talking about an ordinance, a green ordinance, and also talking about the startup of the April, the second Saturday of our electronic recycling. So that will be coming up. That's what it's kind of on the agenda, and that's what we're going to go over. I know there's a submission. I don't know if you're going to talk about that.
You, go ahead, Molly. You can.
No, you probably know more, but it's just submission.
Yes, the West Central Municipal Conference, which we are a member with, I believe, 46 other now communities, now even stretching into DuPage County, is a Green Initiative Award, and we have submitted based on what we've been doing pretty much all year, thanks to certainly Molly, John, and the staff up front, and certainly the Green Committee that was put together, and all the collections to keep things out of our streams and rivers, as we do as a village. So we are submitting an application to possibly receive some recognition at our May WCMC meeting. So.
Then one more thing I hope I'm planning on by our first board meeting in March to have a multi-hazard mitigation plan for the board to review and to it'll be in our cow meeting, and then vote on it in the next. This is a key element in our CRS rating, and also a key element in obtaining funds from the state for projects that are not started, that, for example, expansion of a reservoir, other things like that, there's money right now we can go after. The window will be closing, so we have to move fast on that. But by March, we should, at least by the first meeting, have something for the board to review.
Good. Thank you for all that hard work as well. Frankie, EDC.
We met on Monday, which was yesterday. We talked about the surveys. We're still collecting the surveys from all the locations. They're starting to taper down now and slow up. We're preparing for UIC strategic planning class to give a report on March 20th. And hopefully then we could set forth some kind of a plan for the future. We'll see what they come up with, some new ideas. That's just about all we covered, really.
Right.
Yeah, it was a short meeting.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much. Tomas.
May 5th is our juvenile diabetes walk. We're going to do it at St. Joe's. So that's about all I have. March 14th is going to be our next meeting at 7 o'clock in the community room.
Good. Thank you. And you have a few new members.
Yes.
Mr.
Good.
Mastruzzo resigned. He
went
moved
to
to
Vegas.
Las Vegas. I did get a card
Went to
from him the
Vegas.
other day. So,
So.
doing well. So, Fest Committee. Paulie.
Couple things. One from the Special Events Committee. Something else that we were putting together. A couple ideas, just throwing them out to the board, see if you think you like them or not. I'd like to plan something in June when the kids get out of school. You know, all the schools usually get out, and there's always some kind of commotion of shaving cream, water balloon. So we'd like to organize it, put it together, get them someplace in one area, and let them have fun. Have them shaving cream fight, water balloon fight, you know, the whole thing like that. Have a ball. Just have a ball for being out of school. We'll provide some pizzas and popping water for them. If the board is willing to entertain that kind of a thing, I'd like to put something together, invite all the schools and have that done in one location, if that's okay, in June. July, we're still like to put something in the next newsletter for floats to be in the parade. We put together some kind of a thing of about $1,000 worth of saving bonds to be given away. So we broke it up into a $500 prize, $250 prize, 3 150s, and to get together to give away for probably for the floats that are most colorful. We put up some criteria. I will bring all that to the next board meeting to show you, and so we can get it out in the newsletter and try to get some enthusiasm to get people out to promote their businesses, one, with a float, also to come into the parade and make it bigger. We will not charge any fees for anyone to be in the parade. So I'm really excited about a lot of different things. We want to get the churches, the schools, the Boy Scouts, everybody involved. Hopefully they'll come out and we'll have a real nice parade, extend a couple things to other towns if they would like to join us in our 4th of July parade also. So there's a lot of things we've been working on, trying to get more events in town. There's also, that's in July, we're also trying to do some concerts like Grange does in the park. Had a couple areas looking to try to hold them in different parts of town. Haven't really decided on one yet, still looking at different areas. A couple of places that are big enough is by me on 31st and Wolf. The parking lot's great, it's utilized, could be parked anywhere. We already have bands in there from the Car Fest, from the car show. It's proven it'll work there. We're also looking at, and it's as crazy as you want to think it is, we're looking at the retention pond. You know, putting them down at the bottom of the retention pond and having everyone sit around the outside of it. Try to do it that way. But with softball and all the games going on there, parking would be atrocious. It won't work.
Yeah.
So can't do it there. So, I mean, we're still looking at different locations. I'd like to move it throughout town and not keep it in one spot. So I've talked to a numerous amount of bands. They're willing to do it. They're willing to come out. I think we could pull that off this year. So I have a lot of things on the menu and I mean on the board. So hopefully that the board will cooperate with me. You know, maybe we could see if there's any money left in hotel motel tax that we can use a little bit of something like that. But if not, we'll try to get donations from the business sector and everything else to get it done. But been working hard, having a bunch of volunteers from the village with me sit down and trying to get ideas, and this is one of them. Movie night's another one. So we're trying to put together a movie night so we can have a few of those. So be prepared. There's going to be a lot of stuff hitting the newspaper from this committee. So if you guys want to get it all together on a sheet so you guys can tell everybody, and also we'll put it out there and put it on the sign, it would be great. So.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And I know we're going to talk about the fest in the
Yep.
in the cow. Great, thank you. Any other board person have anything of note? B? Anything?
Not tonight, thank you.
Okay. Miss April.
I have a couple thank yous from Stone Park Police. Dear Chief Padlick, I wish to express my most sincere thanks and appreciation for the support you provided to us upon the passing of our retired commander, John Schillinger. Your act of kindness is appreciated by both his family and members of the Stone Park Police Department. Also from Darien Police, on February 5th, 2012, Darien Police Department lost one of our own, Sergeant James Bursilli, passed away after a year-long illness. He served with the department for 24 years. He was 48 years old and leaves behind two sons, aged 14 and 16. Jim's passing affected the men and women of the Darien Police Department tremendously. He was a good friend, supervisor, and mentor to the members of the police department and residents of Darien, and will be missed. The department is honoring Jim's memory by retiring his badge number 301. We want to thank you and your department for your support during this difficult time. Your agency's participation in Jim's funeral not only honored his memory and service to the community, but also made a lasting impression on the family, especially his two sons. They will remember the outpouring of support for years to come. Your support also leaves an indelible impression on each of us, and we share our thanks. Recently, our department, along with Maywood, Bellwood, Broadview, and the Illinois State Police, participated in our second triangle. Our focus was guns, drugs, intelligence, and narcotics. And we had a successful campaign. Briefly, our results were, after a two-day event, 176 street contacts, issued over 50 citations, 9 possession of cannabis arrests, 3 PCS arrests, 1 DUI, 2 gun recoveries, 4 canine searches, and 16 warrants. And it was a huge success. Also recently, to address some residents' concerns about G8 and NATO ongoing planning, last week command staff and I attended a training in which there were over 600 police officers represented. This morning, myself and all the Net 17, which again encompasses Broadview, Bellwood, Maywood, Berkeley, and Hillside. It was a first for all these agencies to come together here at the Westchester Police Department. We hosted a G8 NATO, our own summit, so to speak, in preparation for the events. We're addressing areas of concern, and our response and planning is ongoing as intelligence develops. And in closing, I'd like to announce that we have partnered with St. Joseph High School on Friday evening. We will be hosting a career day for students in the junior and senior level who have expressed interest in a future in law enforcement. On the 3 to 11 shift, the students that are selected will report to our roll call. They will sit in on the roll call. They will then be presented with a PowerPoint as to what this job entails. They will tour the police department, and then they will be divided up. We believe we'll have approximately 4 students that evening. 2 will go on patrol for 2 hours in a ride-along program, while the other 2 sit in 911 and learn that. And then when the 2 hours is up, they will switch. So St. Joe's is very happy that we have agreed to partake in this. So that's it at the police department.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Just a couple things. On February 16th at St. Joe's High School, my department, along with the National Weather Service, sponsored a National Weather Spotting class. Approximately 60 people from various agencies showed up, which was actually a good showing, according to the National Weather Service. I'm looking to do those. I'd like to do them every year, but National Weather Service only likes to hold them in the same location every 2 years. And with that, They also offer a program called Being a Storm Ready Community, which I've got on the cow for later, which I'll discuss. And then the only other thing I have is on March 1st, myself, along with my 3 captains, are attending a G8 NATO symposium put on by the Metropolitan Fire Chiefs Association to to continue discussing hopefully more specific details on what we're doing on our end as far as fire departments. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Sam?
Oh, Wally.
I would just like to piggyback on Chief Adams. I attended that, and it was very, very interesting. Stuff I didn't know, and it was very informative on obviously storms and how they are, how they appear, and really the dangers. And some of the things I thought about safety were not true, like going underneath the viaduct. I thought, oh, that's the place to go, and it's not. Also, I walked away as a trained storm spotter, so.
So you got that going for
I
you.
got that going.
Well, great, thank you. And thank you for attending, and Jim, thanks for making sure that happened.
What? Would you like to share that with the rest of the class?
Yeah. Okay, Ms. Hope.
I don't have any updates at this time.
No up. We'll ask you a couple questions. The change order for the Highridge Sanitary Sewer Project. How far along are we?
We've lined all of the main lines besides the 3 locations that we need to do point repairs. And I've talked to the contractor this week, and they're going to set them up next week for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to complete those point repairs and then complete the lining. And then they'll come back in a few months to line all of the manholes.
Okay, so we're halfway done?
I'd say 80%.
80% done? Okay, all right. Mr. Dennis.
And let's see, this morning we issued the build-out permit for Goodwill over at 31st and Wolf. They are progressing right along with their demolition. Look like a very, very professional group, and I look forward to their opening. They're projecting around the end of June. I think it'll be a big shot in the arm for the shopping center down there. General Electric and Arden Realty, I'd like to commend them for the continued reinvestment in the Westbrook Corporate Center. The landlord is making some very large investments into the building as far as a complete rework of the fire alarm system, temperature controls, and smoke control in all 5 of the towers. And I found out this morning that they're also bidding out replacement of all 22 of their elevator cars. So I'm really happy to see that one of the crown jewels, the best buildings that we have in our community are being very well upkept by ownership. I commend them for their efforts.
Thank you. Okay, President report. I don't have one. So, is it over and under?
What?
Oh.
What?
Oh my
What?
gosh. Did I hear that correctly?
No,
There's
no.
one on the other.
Okay. Janet reminded me, so I forgot. We got this from WCMC. It's with heavy hearts that the West Central Municipal Conference announces the passing of Susan E. Tutt Parsons. She was the former village president of the village of LaGrange Park. Visitation will be Friday, March 2nd, 2 to 8. Saturday, March 3rd, 9:45 a.m. to 10:15. Following a funeral mass on Saturday, March 3rd, 2012 at 11 o'clock at St. Francis Xavier Church.
Where the have her?
124 North Spring Road. She's going to be at Hinsman's, I'm sorry, on 31st Street, 9441 West 31st in Brookfield. And internment in Resurrection Cemetery in Justice, Illinois. I didn't personally know Miss Parsons, but I'm certainly
Very nice
Paul knew
lady.
her as
She
well.
was, I'll tell you, a wonderful girl to be around. She was so much fun. She was president of LaGrange Park for a while, for 4 years. And her and I met a long time ago when I first started in business on 31st and Downing. And just a fireball. She just was everywhere. She was involved in the cancer research. She was involved in Helping Hand for battered women. I mean, she did a lot of things. She was president of West Central for a year. So she also did, she was just a great lady. She was full of energy. And I'm sad to hear that. I haven't seen her. I know she was battling cancer, and I didn't see her for about, I'd say about 6 to 8 months right now. So I didn't even know she died until you said that,
Yeah.
Sam. So
We received this the other, actually Tuesday.
she was a great
Actually
friend.
today, the 28th, so.
Great friend. Great friend.
So, well, we'll certainly send our condolences and something as well. And if anyone's interested in attending, please do. Okay, is there a motion and a second to adjourn our board meeting? We're going to go right into our committee of the whole, and I'll ask for an executive session at the conclusion of that committee of the whole meeting. So is there a motion and a second to
So
adjourn our
moved.
board meeting?
Second.
I'm sorry, Brian?
Brian and Frank.
Ryan and Frank? All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition say no. We stand adjourned of our board meeting.